Hey everyone, it's CJ here and welcome to the first in a series about how to play the different classes in MvM. Today we're going to start off with the Heavy, which in my mind is one of the easiest classes for beginners to try out. So if you're new to MvM, I would definitely recommend trying out the Heavy as you learn the different aspects of the game mode. That's because as a class by itself, it's simple. It's fairly easy to understand what you need to do. But also in the right hands it can do crazy damage and can be in a very important class, and you can even carry your team as it if you play it in the right way. Many people suggest that the way to play Heavy is to sit on the dispenser, hold mouse 1 and just shoot at the robots as they go by. But you also need to be mobile. There are giants to kill and there are super scouts, which is pretty much your prime concern when they're on the map. So there's lots of different ways to play Heavy. But the dispenser is a key thing for you to stick to in order for the rest of your team to get lots of heals. The advantage of the Heavy is pretty plain and simple. He's a great class to do large amounts of damage to the giants. The giant robots can be quite difficult to take down at times, but the Heavy has the great ability of being able to just track them. The giants are very slow, so all you need to do is keep your crosshair on the giants, follow them as they go along, holding mouse 1, and you will rack up the damage numbers in no time. The super scouts are extremely fast as well, maybe not easy for a sniper or a demo to hit them as they go past. So again, as the Heavy, it's your job to follow them and make sure you do enough damage so that they go down before they manage to plant the bomb. The big weakness of the Heavy though is that it is bad for tanks. As a Heavy you only do 25% of the damage to a tank as other classes, meaning of each ammo that is fired by the Heavy, it's 4 bullets that come out, but only one of those will do damage to the tank. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't shoot the tank though. The tank has a lot of HP, and especially the black and white super tanks towards the later waves do have a lot of HP to take down. And as a Heavy, you are a high damaging class. It is possible for you to do a lot of damage to the tank, so that doesn't mean just to ignore it. Do hit it as you go along, but your primary role is not going to be to take down the tank. Your job is to take down the giants. So I suppose to talk about the Heavy, we need to talk about the loadout. You may have seen my best MvM loadout, so I've talked about this in another video before, but this is especially for Heavy. My personal preference is the minigun. The minigun gives you a little bit extra mobility with the speeding it up wind down time and the ability to move a little bit while you're actually firing. You can do a lot of damage with the minigun. It is the default stock minigun. A lot of people prefer the Brass Beast though. It does reduce your mobility, it does remove your spin down time to quite low, which means you're going to be caught out a lot. If you're caught in the front lines and you're getting attacked by a lot of robots, you're not going to be able to wind down and get out of there quickly like you can with the minigun. But you do get 25% extra damage, and that will help taking down those giants especially quickly. Taking them down quickly is good for your team. It means you can focus on the rest of the robots coming through the spawn doors. A lot of people talk to me about the Natasha. The Natasha being the minigun that has less damage and slows down robots. The fact that it slows down robots means some people like to use it on the super scouts. Personally, as long as you've got a scout doing his job, those scouts are going to be slowed down anyway, and as a Heavy you should be able to track those scouts without much difficulty. So I would not trade in the fact that you can slow down the super scouts using the Natasha for the fact that you lose 25% of your damage on the Natasha. In MvM, most of the game is about doing as much damage as you can as quickly as possible to the tank, to the giants, to the other robots. And if you're trading in that damage straight off using the Natasha, then I think you're setting yourself as a disadvantage from the get-go. In the secondary slot, I would just roll with the sandwich. It's good for throwing down for your medic. Your medic can heal you, your medic can revive you and your teammates, but he cannot heal himself, he cannot revive himself, so it's good to keep him alive. He's not always going to be able to reach that dispenser or reach a health pack, so having a sandwich is good in special cases. For the fists, I would go with the steel fists. For me, if you want to get out of the front lines, wind down your minigun, switch to the fists of steel, and just run out of there. You're not going to go very fast, but you are going to take less damage from ranged targets, which means you're more likely to survive those instances where you got caught out at the front lines. A lot of people like to use the gloves of running urgently, the GRU. For me, there's no need for speed. In MvM, you're essentially defending the point and just moving back as the robots push on. There's no need to get to the front lines quickly. You can have an engineer with a teleporter. There's no need to roll out because you're at the start by the time the game starts. So the fact that you're going to take mini crits if you're trying to escape quickly, it's a bit of a trade-in that I wouldn't trade in for a heavy personally. So minigun, sandwich and fists of steel would be my preferred loadout. As for upgrades, well, there's lots of upgrades for heavy, but it seems that some people still use the wrong ones. There is no damage upgrade for heavy. It's one of the few classes that you cannot upgrade your damage, but instead you can increase your firing speed. There's 4 upgrades for this. More firing speed means more damage. You're firing your bullets quicker, so that is a necessary upgrade for the heavy, seeing as you're going to be wanting to take down those giants, which means you're going to want to put out a lot of damage as quickly as you can. So firing speed is necessary. There's also destroy projectiles, and I would be between these two for which one I would upgrade first. Destroy projectiles means that the bullets that you fire from your minigun is going to destroy any projectiles coming from the robots, which includes rockets, grenades. They don't have stickies on the robots, so those aren't included. But basically, rockets and grenades from the robots will be destroyed by your minigun. If there are soldiers or giant demos or anything in the first wave and you feel that you're going to need to destroy those projectiles, that should be your first port of call. Otherwise, stick up with some firing speed to do the extra damage as quickly as you can. The next one I would say is most important is health on kill. You're going to be sat by the dispenser a lot, you're going to be being healed by your medic, but health on kill is very, very helpful because it does give you a buff when you're at maximum health. And it does give you that extra little bit of HP when you kill something, but also sometimes there's some clutch situations. You're on your own, there's no dispenser, no one to heal you, and you're gunning down robots. And if you're getting 25, 50 HP every time you kill one, it means you can stay alive much longer. Next one I talk about is penetration. Some people slap a lot into penetration. I'd only start with 1, and if you've got surplus money towards the end of the waves, maybe add in another one. But penetration means that each bullet that you fire will go through a robot, just one robot for each level of penetration you've added, and that's quite helpful because it means the robots that are behind the robots that you're shooting are also taking damage, which in turn means you're doing more damage in total. The more levels of penetration you've got, the more levels of robots you can go through, but you don't really need that many. You should be killing the ones at the front especially quickly, which means that you're never going to need more than one really. There's also ammo capacity. Now most classes you need some ammo capacity because you're not going to be stuck by the dispenser much, but the heavy sometimes you are. But I would recommend putting in 1 at some point, preferably early on, because there are times where you might want to follow the tank down. Like I said, you're still going to shoot the tank every now and again to help out your team, and there are times when the robots are going to get past your front lines. They're going to get past where your dispenser is, and you're going to want to follow them, and you don't want to be caught out without any ammo to take down those robots, because as long as you've got ammo and you've got health on kill, that means you can keep your HP up and you can deal damage to those giants. Last one that was probably necessary is rage. Never put more than 1 in rage. It's not necessary. At 350 it's fairly expensive, but it's necessary to have. You can send giants flying backwards and just pin them down in place so that the rest of your team can do lots and lots of damage to them. And you can also do some amusing things like Sir nukes a lot on Hamlet Hostility. You can launch him into the air and fire him across the map, which again just slows him down, but in doing so it also pushes the bomb back. You can push things into the pit using rage, you can force people into the holes, but you can also knock them back, which just prevents them from capping the bomb anytime soon. Elsewhere, if you've managed to fill those up and put in the required ones into all of those on the minigun, you don't really need to upgrade your sandwich or your fists. You're not going to be really using them. But resistances are always helpful. Resistances are helpful on every class really. They're focused on the scout normally, but heavy you're going to want to stay alive, and if you've got money left over and you don't know what to do with, blast resistance, bullet resistance and even crit resistance are usually very helpful, and they'll keep you alive for longer and able to fight for longer. But that's all I'm really going to talk about the heavy. If you follow these instructions, you should be able to be successful in playing MvM. So hopefully that helps. Go and give it a try and let me guys know if you've got any changes or any suggestions you think the heavy should be doing in MvM.